Music is spiritual, all right? It is not a physical thing. It is a spiritual thing. And so it makes me wonder, how is music captured? How is voice captured? All right? How are we being able to hear, all right, the music being played back? So we're going to get into that right now because I thought of that while I was doing my research. And the answer came to me. So you're going to want to know, all right, that the phonoautograph was invented by a French inventor called Edouard Léon Scott de Martinville, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, in 1857. All right, the phonoautograph was the first machine, that's what they say, okay, the first machine built to capture sound waves. And I only say that because we were not here hundreds of, years ago, thousands of years ago. So we wouldn't know, all right, if there was another device that was created. Like we could see even with the Egyptians, they had everything, honestly, all right? But some things have been ruined and some things have been destroyed. So we don't even have like everything that they left behind from their civilization. But Egypt was really like, modern is what I would say. All right. And I also love to read the Bible, and God's word says that there's nothing new under the sun. All right. But for this specific video, the first machine built to capture sound waves was the phonoautograph. All right. And the sound waves were etched as squiggles visually, but could not be played. So visually, they could see it. So the sound waves were being captured and then it was being etched. So visually, they were seeing it. Okay. But they couldn't hear it. All right. Then we had Thomas Edison. I know you guys know Thomas Edison. He introduced the tinfoil phonograph 20 years later. All right. In 1877, where sound now was recorded and played back for the first time. So not only could you record yourself, but you could hear it back. It had never been done before. All right. Again, first time. So the Thomas Edison National Historical Park, they have the phonograph currently, all right? And you can just double check, but if that's something that you want to see in person or you want to Google it, feel free to. But the Greek word, all right, for how we got the word phonograph is phone means sound or voice, and graph means writing. So phonograph, kind of like voice writing. Okay, so that's a little creepy, but let's continue on. All right. So located at the Smithsonian, National Museum of American History, they also have it there too. All right. But what happens is, I know you must be thinking like, oh, what's going on? Like, how are they doing this? All right. So basically, and I'm going to explain this the best way. Okay. I had to take my time, but this is the best way that I can explain it. The sound waves, like, ooh, carry energy through matter like air and water. So your sound wave, when you open your mouth and you make a sound, it will go through matter, and the matter is either air or it's going to be water. All right. And a sound wave, or whatever else matter, all right, could be there. But a sound wave is created by our voice disturbing the air molecules, all right, which then creates a vibration. All right, so the sound wave is carried through the horn. That's like if I was singing into this is like the horn. This is a great, listen, God is great. Imagine that I'm singing like, all right, I'm putting my mouth and my nose over this little opening here. And woo! So the sound wave is carried through the horn, and then at the bottom, all right, it's going down, it's going to get smaller. All right, I don't know if you can see my hand, it might be out of frame, but at the base is the diaphragm, and there it starts to shake. And then a small knife is cutting around the groove, all right? It's cutting around groove, and a wave form is cut into the record, all right? And then playback is similar, but instead of a knife, there was a round ball made of sapphire, all right? So instead of a knife, all right, it's a round ball made of sapphire, all right? And it's attached to the end of the diaphragm, sorry guys, diaphragm, called the playback stylus, all right? And it rides the groove, all right? Instead of cutting the groove, it's riding the groove. And that's how then the music comes right back out, the sound, all right, comes right back out. And the horn is going to be the amplifier, all right? And that's where the music is coming back out, and then we're like hearing it for the first time. So it's so interesting because it's like they're trapping the sound, okay? Then it's being kind of like transformed into like writing, all right? It's being recorded. That's so interesting, all right? So it's so interesting. I think it's so interesting, but music is spiritual, all right? It is completely spiritual. Don't let anybody tell you anything else. And this is why music has the power to transport us. If you heard a song, let's say years ago when you were a child, and maybe at that time, I don't know, maybe your parent bought a new car. If you were to hear that song right now, like 10 years later, 20 years later, 30 years later, you can go right back to the same memory of you sitting in the brand new car with your parent, and you're like, wow, the song transported me back to that time. All right, so I know a lot of people like to talk about transportation and just being like transported. So yes, music is spiritual because it can bring emotions to you as well. All right, so let's think about Toni Braxton. She was tired of singing these heartbreak songs, but they were like, no, we need you to sing this, and we need you to bring devastation to this song. So be like really sad. We need you, and we need you to sing this song in this lower registered tone. So we have to think like, why? So music, all right, sound is vibration. There's vibrations, and depending upon what sound we let out of our mouth, it can either bring you like happiness and gladness and joy, or it can bring you down. These sound waves can make you sad and depressed. So be careful, all right? Be careful to what you're listening to, because music can affect you. It will affect you, all right? Because that's what music is for. Music is spiritual. And also, while I'm on this topic, I'd like to talk about Whitney Houston's relationship with Clive Davis. So Clive Davis literally, he stated that he was able so they mostly would ask like Clive Davis, like, hey, how did you know like these singers were gonna be like the best singers? Because you gave us like the best singers. You know, we got Luther Vandross, we got Aretha Franklin, we got Whitney Houston, you know, we got Monica, even Brandy at one point, all right? How did you know that these singers were like so huge? How did you know? How did you know that they're going to be so big? And Clive said, these are his words, I watched an interview. Clive said that he chose singers that had a God-given gift. All right, so basically these artists had a natural talent, all right? And he said that it would affect people. And when he was talking in that interview, he was literally talking about Whitney Houston, but he was also saying that this happened with the other artists that he knew that they were going to, you know, go all the way, because he said they had a God-given gift. So what's so interesting is most of these artists have come from the church. Most of these artists have a gospel background. Whitney Houston has a gospel background. Monica has a gospel background. So you have to think, why these people? Why have these people with a God-given talent been selected by lawyers? Why have they been selected by music executives, all right, that sometimes they themselves cannot write music, or they themselves can't sing, or they themselves can't rap, but they don't have the gift, but they're choosing people that carry the God-given gift, you know? So please be careful. If you are a person where the Lord has blessed you with a beautiful voice, whether to sing or to rap, be careful with how you use your voice, and be careful with what you do with your voice, and be careful with who you give your voice to. Really don't give your voice to anybody, because it's not yours to give. It belongs to God. It is God's given gift. And you know what? If I'm able to, I'm going to link the interview. I'm going to try to like add a link, I think, as a comment and pin it so you could see it. I'm going to try to do that, okay? Because I haven't done it before, but I'm going to try. Because if you can watch that interview, you could see how Whitney Houston looks uncomfortable when Clive Davis is saying that she has a God-given gift and that she's touching like the world and making a change. She's like, she just keeps blinking. It's like she can't stop. So it shows me that she's an easy. She knows that she's taken her God-given gift and she's pimping it. All right, with the evils of the world. And while I say the evils of the world, it brings me to talk about Satan, all right, who is also who was a cherubim, all right, who was like a beautiful cherubim who has a beautiful voice, beautiful chords. And what's so interesting is he was created with all the stones, all the gems that you can think of, all right. And so what's interesting is I thought it was so strange that when they created the phonograph, that when the music for the first time was being played back, the way that they played it back was with like a stylus, all right? Just want to make sure was with a stylus, and the stylus was actually a sapphire, okay? A round ball made of sapphire. So that in itself is interesting. Sapphire is extremely spiritual. If you read the Bible, and I mean really read it, not just like skim, but if you're like a reader of God's word, you'll know that God does a lot with sapphire. All right, sapphire is beautiful. It's like a blue color. It's kind of like this. Look at that. But it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stone. All right, and I want us to talk a little bit briefly about the natural properties of sapphire because I thought that was interesting. So basically also too how they're able to like capture the sound waves. It's based on the compressions and the refractions. All right, so compression like coming together, and then refraction like coming, moving apart. All right, so the compression, that's how we're able to record. All right, and then the refraction, that's how we're able to hear it back, play it back. So the refractive index, all right, for sapphire has a high refractive index of 1.762 to 1.770, which gives the cut crystal its notable brilliance and sparkle. All right, so because it has such a high index, all right, to be refractive, I feel like that's why they chose this particular stone, all right, to use it in order to play back what they've recorded. All right, so I would like for us to read, give me one moment, because I had it, but I think I removed it. It's gonna be, I believe it's Ezekiel. It's definitely Ezekiel. We're gonna go, okay, boom. We're going to read Ezekiel 28, verse 13 to 14, all right? And I'm gonna read for this time, this instance, the New King James Version, but you know me, I'm normally reading KJV. So it says, "You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was your covering, the sardius, topaz, and diamond, beryl, onyx, and jasper, sapphire, turquoise, and emerald with gold. The workmanship of your timbrels and pipes was prepared for you on the day you were created. You were the anointed cherub who covers. I established you. You were on the holy mountain of God. You walked back and forth in the midst of fiery stones." All right. So just be aware that Satan, when God created him originally, because he was supposed to be a good angel, a good cherub, he was created with all of these beautiful stones, precious stones, and that's why he was beautiful, all right? And that's why you got to be careful. He could still come and appear to you in the form of light, but because he's been cast down, he doesn't look glorious anymore, but he could still put on a really good look, all right, and come to you and appear as a form of light. But when you really get to know him, you're going to see the wickedness and the darkness that's inside of him, because pride has overtaken him. And so there's nothing good in Satan, but he is the father of lies, all right? So when we think about the sapphire, all right, that's one of the stones that was placed in him, that he was created with. It's just so interesting to me that there's nothing else that they could have used in order to create a device that would allow for the music or the sound to be replayed other than the sapphire. Okay, so please think on these things that I'm telling you. Music is spiritual, all right? So there's so much more that we could talk about the sapphire, but I don't want to do too much. Okay, just know that it can also show different colors when viewed from different angles. All right, so it's also like multicolored. Really, really, really fascinating. All right, but we're gonna hop back into the third the third device, all right, because it kind of was created in stages. We had the first one was the phonoautograph, then we had the phonograph, all right, which could record sound and play it back. Then we had the gramophone. So what is a gramophone? The gramophone is a mechanical sound reproduction device that plays audio back that was recorded on flat disc, all right, patented by Emil Berliner in 1888. Gramophone inspired, fun fact, the Grammy Awards, all right, called the Gramophone Awards, all right? So that's where we got the Grammy Awards, all right? It's called the Grammy Awards now, but previously they called it the Gramophone Awards because the gramophone was what they were using to create records, all right? They were literally recording on flat disc. So interesting, all right? So now in our modern day time, we have like turntables, all right? It's just a turntable. But I want you to know that, again, gramma in Greek means letters, and phone in Greek means sound. So again, it's like letter sounds. Really, really, really interesting. All right, so how did the phonographs work? I want to talk about that again. They captured and reproduced sound waves by physically carving sound vibrations into a rotating medium, like a rotating cylinder, all right, covered in a soft material like tin foil, mapping the sound waves. All right, so it's so interesting. It's like literally sound is transferred, all right, and captured. It's literally captured. It's captured and it's reproduced. So really interesting to me. But also be aware that Berliner co-founded, and I hope I'm saying this right, I think it's Duce Gramophone, with his brother, and his brother's name was Joseph, in Germany in 1898. It's a notable classical record label to this day, and you will actually find them underneath Universal Music Group. All right, so listen, if this is from 1898, you have to think, oh my Lord. So I'm just talking about Clive Davis, all right, for 59 years. But the gentleman, Mr. Emil, who created the gramophone in 1888, all right, he perfected it, made the gramophone. It was so big that they created the Grammy Awards from what he created, this device, the gramophone, because now for the first time, they're like, great, we're recording sound on disc, and now we're actually able to sell it. Because listen, for the first time now, you don't have to have like an orchestra or wait to go to, you know, the symphony, or you can listen to music in your home. All right, we can bring the music to your home. So I want us to think again about Nebuchadnezzar. All right, they were told that once you hear this type of sound, you must bow down and worship at this time. So music, guys, is spiritual. And this is why I wanted you guys to be aware that when you worship, you are giving your worship to someone. Someone's getting your worship. Whoever is getting your worship, it can be a person getting your worship. It can be a spirit receiving your worship. And the spirit could be a good spirit. God is a spirit, the God who created all of heaven and earth, or it can be an evil spirit receiving your worship, like Baal. All right. So, or it could be an evil angel, all right, like Satan, that is receiving your worship. So you have to be careful. It could be a pagan lower G god, like a deity like Zeus, okay? You have to be careful about who is receiving your worship, all right? Because it could be anybody, all right? So music is spiritual, and music is the way that we communicate to God, all right? But it's so interesting when man tries to take something that God created, all right, and they try to turn it into something evil and something wicked. But again, they didn't do this on their own. They had help. Who helped them? Satan. All right, Satan helped them. So Nebuchadnezzar connected worship with music, and now he's telling them bow down to this golden image. And now, years later, 1888, a mill is creating the gramophone, where for the first time they are now recording and being able to reproduce the sound, all right, on a flat disc and then sell it so people can what? Play it back at their homes. So now you're bringing these records, these discs into your homes, into your house, and you're not sure exactly what's on that disc. What's on that record? Who am I worshiping? All right, because whether or not you know it, you're definitely giving your worship to someone. But again, you have to know for yourself who you're worshiping. So be careful and guard yourself. And yeah, if I were you, I would stop listening to music in the world. I don't listen to it. But again, I can only suggest it. I cannot tell you what to do. You have to make the decisions by yourself. But you're seeing today just how important music is, all right? So Clive, they called him again the man with the golden ears, all right? And then later on, Clive started to host an exclusive pre-Grammy party. So that in itself is interesting, all right? They create the Grammy Awards from the gramophone device that was created. And then years later, we have a man, a big music executive, a big music mogul, Clive Davis, throwing these huge pre-Grammy parties that are exclusive. So if you're not invited, you can't be there, okay? And they're expensive too. And let us not forget, all right, that when Whitney passed away, he still decided to have his pre-Grammy party, all right? So do they really have the artist's best interest at heart? I don't know. I don't think so, all right? And I think if you're starting to think and you're looking at it from this perspective, you would say, my, that's crazy. That's like you're a supervisor and you really love your, let's say you have your best performing agent or your best performing employee, and then they pass away, but you made like most of your money from that employee. Are you going to throw a party that day? Like you already were going to throw a party that day to honor them. Are you still going to throw a party that day, or are you going to put it on pause, or not even because a person passed away? Maybe you can turn it into like a memorial, all right, and people can mourn the person. But no, you say, I'm still gonna have this party. Does that show love for your employee? No, it doesn't. So again, these music executives and these big moguls, all right, most of them, like I said, are lawyers. They're businessmen. And yes, I think I'm getting there right now to what we need to talk about, and then we will be wrapping this thing up. I want to make sure I didn't miss it. Yeah, we need to give me a minute, guys, because we got to talk about this. It just hit me. It's very important that we talk about this. But basically, I think, okay, we're getting there. Boom, God is so good. All right. You have to think, do these music executives care for you? Who are you to them? All right. You're the one with the gift. You're the one with the talent. They don't carry a gift or a talent. They can't open their mouth and sing or rap. Okay. Some of them can't write. Some of them cannot play. All right. And some of them can't produce. But what they're doing is they're using your gift to get to the top, because they know what the gift looks like. So they're just searching for people who have the gift. That's literally what they are. They're just discovering talents. All right. And then they're using people's talents to get the masses, all right, the people in the world, to fall down and worship things that they can't see. All right. So I'm going to give a testimony at the end of this video, and then we're going to roll this up. But let's talk about Columbia. Columbia Records started in 1889 by Edward D. Easton. He was a stenographer. Do you know what that is? That's basically a court reporter. And he too would put his little mouth and nose over those little items that they had, like it's a device in the courthouse, and they would talk over it so that everything that they're hearing, like whether it's a court proceeding or a deposition, they're recording into the device. I forgot what they call it, but the device, okay? And it basically drowns out all of the noise in the courtroom, and so you're only going to hear the court reporter, all right? So he was a stenographer. Very interesting. And he was also a businessman. He also was a lawyer, if I'm not mistaken. He did receive his law degree, but he created Columbia Records, which is the world's oldest surviving record company brand to date. All right? So just let that sink in. I didn't say he was a composer. I didn't say he was a singer. I didn't say he was a writer. I didn't say he was a producer. I said he was a stenographer, aka court reporter, lawyer, businessman. Started Columbia record label. Okay, let's move on. We have Arista, founded by Clive in 1974, and I told you Clive is none other than a lawyer. All right, then we have J Records, founded again by Clive with financial backing from BMG this time. All right, he gets financial backing this third time around. Well, second time around, because he didn't create Columbia Records. Okay, that was created by Edward D. Easton, and years later, all right, Clive Davis became president of Columbia Records, but Clive founded Arista Records and J Records. All right, so the first time he did Arista on his own, and the second time when he created J Records, he had financial backing from BMG. All right, so just be aware that Clive was born on April 4th, 1932. All right, and let's see here. I want to make sure that I am getting everything in so that we are fully aware. I think, listen, we got most of it, so it will be time for me to share my testimony that just came to my mind when I was talking, all right, about worship. All right, and then we're going to bring this baby to a close. Thank you, Abba Father. So, years ago, I used to love Rihanna, all right? She was literally my favorite artist. I can say that to you all. She was my favorite artist, all right? Plus, she's like an islander, so I really loved her. All right, I loved the authenticity that I felt that she was giving. I loved her voice. It sounded really different at that time from other singers that we had, and I feel like that's because she just was so different, you know? She was like really her own self. So I felt like that shined through, and her music just was really, you know, it was connecting to me. Okay, so at that time when I loved Rihanna, I had a dear friend of mine, and my dear friend won tickets, but who knows, I think he probably purchased them, but he got tickets nonetheless, and he was like, hey, I got tickets to your favorite artist, let's go. And I was like, of course, you know, like, why not? So he picks me up, we go to the concert, and I was so excited to see Rihanna. And you know what, if you give me one moment, I'm gonna tell you what album it was, because that's just how much I am not in the world anymore. Like, I literally tried to cleanse myself from all of those songs and musics that I knew, because I just don't want to know any of it. I don't. Okay, I knew enough of it years ago. I don't need it now. It wasn't healthy. It wasn't good for me. Like I said, that's where I'm going with this with this testimony. So we're gonna see. All right, I think it was not Music of the Sun. It was not. Was it A Girl Like Me? No. It had to be. Was it Loud? Okay, it was Loud. It was Loud. Yeah. All right, it was Loud, guys. It was Loud. So some songs that was on Loud's album was S&M, Cheers, What's My Name? Okay, Only Girl, California King Bed, which was written by Money Long. One day we have to talk about her. man down, raining men. Like, what's up with this rain? Okay, we're going to talk about that another time. Not just Rihanna, but a lot of singers sing about rain. And listen, Milli Vanilli, the song that they sang, Blame It on the Rain, I think that was the name of the song, that was also written by Diane Warren. All right, so we have to think, like, what's going on? All right, that too. Follow these songwriters because their job is to push the songs on the singers, and half the time these poor artists don't even know what they're singing. But like I said, they've signed a contract and they're given a paper, and you better do what you've been given. So you're like, 7 whole days, well, I'm say without you, gonna be on my own. You gotta do it, okay? And as you can see, yes, as a child I used to practice her voice because it was just so interesting. But God be praised, I do not sing like that, because now we can see this range of that tone being so low for a female. It, look at that, it wasn't even natural to her, but they were like, you better sing it like that. All right, so who knows, her voice is probably just got super used to it. All right, so yes, Rihanna's songs. So that was the album Loud, and also she was probably like singing, like, some of the older songs, that came from the other album, Music of the Sun. But this was like the main album for that tour. All right, so I was super excited, and I remember she had sang a couple of songs, and I think it was getting to the end. And then, yeah, she ended the concert with, oh, Nana, what's my name? And even that, there's a lot of songs, they start with, oh, Nana. Like, yeah, like, ooh, God is good. Like Trey songs. Oh, Nana, na 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 na. It's like a lot of oh na nas. A bunch of them. I even think I forgot her name because, like I said, I don't really always remember their names now because I try to forget them. All right, but I can't remember. But she came from Disney Channel, and she had a song, and she was doing a lot of oh na nas too. So you're probably connected there. All right, but what's my name? Rihanna started to sing that. And I don't know. I just kind of felt like, I don't know, I just felt weird. And like she was on the stage and she was clapping, and she looked out into the audience and she asked us, like, stand up and like throw up your rock. And I was like, I don't know, God be praised, something just, it's like I feel like the Holy Spirit was telling me, because I wouldn't have no knowledge, but I felt like this is not right, and I'm not gonna stand up. I'm not gonna throw up the rock, so I didn't do it. But I remember like looking out in the auditorium. It was a huge auditorium. It was like a lot of people there. And I'm looking around and I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody's throwing up this rock. They're, the little diamonds shaped sign. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then it hit me. I was like, they're worshiping her. And she kept saying it. Oh, nah, nah. What's my name? Oh, nah, nah. What's my name? So even that, I don't know if you guys know, but they said that if you, years ago, I used to like play the songs backwards because they were like, oh, there's hidden like messages in them. Like, and you can hear like the demons talking. There's also demons in these, mercy Lord. There's also demons in these songs. All right. So be careful when you are listening to these songs, because sometimes they are chants, and that's where a lot of these, songwriters get paid the big bucks, because they are channelers. And if the singer doesn't have the ability to channel, but the songwriter does, they're going to just make sure that the songwriter is at home all day, wherever they need to be in their studio, all right, burning incense, whatever they need to burn, whatever they need to eat, whatever they need to be doing, okay, in order for them to channel the spirits, all right, be open to the spirit realm so that they can channel the spirit, so that they can write a hit song. And then when that hit song is created, they're bringing it right to the music executives. They're getting it shopped around to find an artist who can sing it. If the music execs like it, they're like, hey, we'll pay you for this song and we're going to give it to this one. All right. Or sometimes the writer, if they have like a big pull and they're like, really known and they're famous, they could say, I would want so and so to sing it. All right, and then they'll bring it to that person. If the person's like, yeah, I rock with it, then they'll get paid and they'll sing that song, and then it'll give them even a bigger notoriety so that other artists will want to get songs from that songwriter. All right, so all I'm saying is that is the day that I realized that music was spiritual. That was the day when I looked at music differently for the first time in my life. That was the day when I literally saw worship. I saw people worshiping a human being for the first time. And I don't believe Rihanna was receiving the worship, but I believe it's whatever was in her. I literally believe whatever entity was in her was receiving the praise. That is a day when I realized that music is bigger than what we thought it was. And we have to be careful of the songs that we're singing. We have to be careful of the spirits that are entering into our lives when we participate. Okay, because that too, they can't get on you if you don't participate. So this is why I say that we are here closing doors to the demonic realm, because on this channel, as we talk about extra information and knowledge and wisdom that we were not privy to previously, it's going to shed a light, all right, on the darkness in our lives so that we can bring it to the Lord and God can remove it from us. God can heal us. God can talk to us about it. God can help us to get over it. God can help us to stop watching a thing, listening to a thing, so that we can be ultimately, hallelujah, free. All right, so if you're ready to be free, make sure that you hit that button below and that you subscribe, because on this channel, we're growing up and glowing up with the God, hallelujah, the God of heaven and earth, all right? One day and one step at a time. And that's why this channel is so important. I hope that if it's your first time here, that you were literally like given so much information and knowledge today that you know that you cannot walk away without connecting yourself to this channel, because please, there's so much more that's going to happen in the future. And that's why I said I needed to get on here and talk to you guys, because Clive Davis has been on, literally, we could say he had his little foot, his little pinky toe on the industry, on music for 59 years. So now this is the time where we're going to see what changes will happen, what will shape the next 5 or 10 years. How is the music going to look? All right. So please, you need to stay connected so that you are aware to those doors that you have opened that are evil and demonic doors, because on this channel, I'm sharing the information with you in these nuggets so that you can close the doors to the demonic realm. I'm so grateful that you were here with us today. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you soon.